I thought of something that's a real bone of contention for me is that Republicans seem to want to stay out of corporations' business, but they sure do want to get in our bedrooms. They sure want to tell us that certain things are just not okay because their God doesn't like
Well,
it.
I think
Gay marriage, for instance.
Yeah, exactly.
Comes to mind.
Exactly.
And also, as far as I think that's pandering to the rightist element within the
Absolutely.
Republican Party.
Absolutely.
You know, going to gay marriage and everything else, and the constitutional amendment.
What a waste of taxpayer
What is
dollars.
that? And time. Is this what's really threatening us
This
right now?
is a complete red herring of an
We've
issue.
got people starving. We've got children
Right.
that don't
Not
have medical
educated
care or
and-
food,
yes.
and they're not educated.
Yes.
We've got
Homeless?
all these
Yes,
problems.
and we have so many homeless people. In the wealthiest country in the world, we have so many homeless people.
I think if you're going to prevent anybody from getting married, it should be celebrities. and they shouldn't even be allowed to procreate, to say the least. I mean,
Well, the world would be a safer place at that point.
precisely.
Well, they don't take it seriously. Talk about being damaging to the institution
Indeed.
of marriage.
Well, with gay marriage, I mean, why can't we just make it as simple as it's the courts that
Well,
do
they
divorces?
should be entitled to the exact same benefits. Sure. When they have a partner who's ill in the hospital, they need to be able to walk in there and talk to the doctors and
Well,
have the doctors listen to them.
Of course. And you know, but the way that we can take care of that also and not offend people who have these strong
Screw
religious
offending
beliefs. You know
them.
what? But they still have their right to their own beliefs.
Not,
but they
not,
don't have the
not
right
if
to
it's
believe.
not if it's
To
imposing
their
on somebody
beliefs.
else.
Of course, not unless it's
But
imposed.
we're-
But what I'm saying is, in the case of gay marriage, what could easily happen is that people who are gay could go to the judge. They could get the civil marriage.
I still don't understand what the opposition to gay folks being
Is it
together.
because you're going to somehow turn them gay? As if
even
that's
But let's just say that, as stupid as that is, let's just say you do. So what?
Right. Gay people have the same right to be miserable as heterosexuals, don't you think?
I think it's even necessary to have the conversation.
It's obvious.
It's so
It's obvious. It's sadly, it's not obvious to
It's not
people who are in
obvious,
power.
obviously,
No.
because as of a few weeks ago, they
think
were
it's an
trying to pass
obviously
a
obvious statement.
constitutional amendment.
Obviously.
They were trying
Because they
to
got just
change
nothing going on in Washington.
right.
But what's the argument against it?
against.
What's the argument against gay marriage or
I
against
think
You're
homosexuality?
ruining the institution. You
But
are
it's
bastardizing
morally
it.
wrong.
That's it? It's morally wrong?
It's a moral issue.
We're back
They're
to the
deciding
separation
it's
of
morally
church and
wrong.
state
They-
again, and they're trying to make a
yes.
church decision.
Yes,
And there's
That
been
doesn't hold water.
less separation of church and state in this administration
Yes.
than any in history.
absolutely, absolutely.
Which is frightening by itself.
I keep meeting young people who are getting more and more conservative.
Yeah.
And that is creeping me out. You know, where you get these younger men in their 20s who seem to think that they're the ones who should tell women how to live and what to do. And of course, the obvious subjects come to mind, like abortion and all that. And that's scaring me. That's scaring me. I've also noticed that women in their 20s now are taking their husbands' names when they get married. What is that about?
Oh, come on.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, please.
Oh, I would never take a man's name.
I don't think.
stop.
I don't know.
I always thought the idea of hyphenating the names was a nice way to go because.
But you
then-
both hyphenated them.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Both
Well,
people
I
would
think-
hyphenate
I think
because you're
it's-
merging two.
I know it's a
families.
personal choice.
It's
I know, all right,
personal
it's a personal choice.
and I think it's nice, and I think
I
it's nice.
still think-
I think that either way, it's totally fine. I think it's nice when you've got a family and you've got a kid that's there, and he doesn't have to give 3 names as his last name.
Deb,
and
I'm just going to have to disagree with you on
Well,
this.
you know what?
I'm gonna have
That's okay.
I know.
And
'Cause
see,
this is America.
And this
You're right,
is
you're right,
well,
you're right.
well,
You can
the
do
other
it.
part of it is what you were saying as far as
I
you
know,
know,
more
people
serious,
having a
yeah.
certain viewpoint and just getting that viewpoint across, and why it's nice to talk to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
To me, not enough people are talking about politics.
Mm-hmm.
The problem for me with the whole political process is it's about taking sides, and really a lot of things lie in the middle. You know, it's not so black and white. You know, talking about the freedom of choice, for
Right.
for women,
Yes.
the freedom to have the abortion, whether or not they want it. Just because we're giving them the freedom, as whoever gives them that freedom, doesn't mean we're agreeing with it or condoning it or would choose it for ourselves.
Right, it's pro-choice.
It's pro-choice,
It's not
pro-choice,
pro-abortion.
but pro-choice is not anti-life.
Right.
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 We're not
And
saying we're against life, and we're not saying everybody should run out and have one, because certainly
Right.
on some levels it has become like birth control, and it shouldn't be.
Exactly.
Well, it's just, again, people who are against choice, it is a religious, it's mostly, I don't know many arguments that aren't religious based.
Right.
You know, it is the taking of a life, and that's, and it is taught by the church that that is wrong. We have separation of church and state, and it should not be a church-based issue. It needs to be a right for a woman to decide what happens with her body.
The church takes that so far that they say that birth control
Indeed.
is even taking
Indeed.
life,
Indeed.
which is so
Indeed.
ludicrous to
Indeed.
me.
It's sad. But the Republican Party is so amazing at is finding a word and using that word in a way that benefits them and defining
It's all
that
context.
word.
It's
Liberal?
But it is
So-
in context of it.
You know, if they're going to play that game, I don't want to I don't want to give them the word rape. But you know what I mean. I'm just saying that words. In fact, I wish
Words
that
are
the
powerful.
Democratic Party did a much better job of using words the way that the Republican Party
And they don't.
does.
And going on the attack.
But that's part of the issue. See, the Democrats, or at least the liberals in the world, tend to be lazy about getting out there and trying to sway people and change them over to. The Republicans are out there beating on people until they come around.
Well, but they're using a religious message.
Yes.
And I don't think that I think that there are plenty of liberal people that are out there trying to shake the trees and, you know, make things happen. But the problem is that the people who are more mainstream don't act.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I also think the media gives more voice to. It's my gut feeling that they give more voice to the Republicans.
Well, they
Because
do because
all
it's a
this-
large corporation that owns it,
Absolutely.
and therefore
That's
it's,
right. So
it's-
what is this myth about the liberal media that we keep
I
hearing
know, we
about?
keep
The
hearing
liberal
that.
media,
Where
the
are
liberal
they?
media. This goes back to the
Thank you.
30s and
Says
40s.
who?
It is not appropriate today at all. Republicans have a much better system of propaganda than the Democrats.
Yeah, they do.
I think
It's
so.
all in place.
Can I just, for the sake of and Debbie, I so appreciate what you said, and it's a personal thing. There are three definitions. The first, of course,
wait. First, according to what source?
Dictionary.com.
this is dictionary.com.
Okay.
Okay. The three in
joy
order,
of DSL.
and you're at no. I mean, you're you know the first one is the crime of forcing another person to submit to sex acts, especially sexual intercourse. The act of seizing and carrying off by force, i.e., abduction, and the one in the context in which I meant it. So I want to apologize because I didn't mean it in the first context. I meant it in the context of abusive or improper treatment, violation, a rape of justice. So that's the way I meant
Which
it.
that's how I see it as being applicable
And
to
there
it.
actually was another really interesting definition of it. It's the refuse of grapes left after the extraction of the juice in winemaking.
Really?
That's how I always mean
It's
it.
a noun.
Here's a prime example of an individual going out and finding information for themselves from a source that's readily available and easy to obtain. There is so much information on the web. There are so many, different websites devoted to different things out there. You can find almost anything on the web. Is
Absolutely.
it factual? We don't know for sure. Just like
But
the
you can
news,
decide.
we
But
don't
it's
know
on the web,
for
it has to
sure.
be
You
factual.
can
That's
see
right.
different points of view, and you can
The
decide.
web is 100% factual. That's right.
Sarcasm.
Everything
At
that's
its
on the web
finest.
is 100%
just
The web was
factual.
created by God, therefore.
It is. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to come up so quickly.
It's all factual.
Duh.